All right, guys, I just wanted to hop on real quick since I didn't make a Sunday video yesterday and kind of just go over the markets, just recapping this morning session here on Monday. It's around 11 a.m., so market's still open, but typically, right around 11 to 1 is kind of just the dead hours, right? Now, I don't really do much during those hours trading-wise, so I'm just going to do a quick video recapping this morning session, going over some of the positions I'm in, some of the positions I did end up missing that were on my focus list and all this good stuff. And then just recapping my day trade. I'll explain this. I guess this funded account that I'm starting to try now, since there is options, an option funded account that just opened up, I guess, recently. And I'll explain a little bit more of that later. But real quick, right? Top of the list that was going into Monday was SoFi and RKT, right? Besides the positions that I'm in. All right, my bad. I kind of cut out there for a second and I had to restart it. But pretty much, right, besides the positions that I'm in currently, right, the two stocks I was looking at wanting to get into were SoFi and RKT, right? Both of those absolutely ripping today. SoFi really is going crazy right now, up around 9%. Right, you can see this was the big breakout here that happened over 27.6, right? We talked about it. That was the key spot, right? Key level resistance that we wanted to get over, and that's what happened, right? We got over that level. Would have been a tougher entry today to get in, right? It did kind of just gap up over that level, but it did actually end up retesting that spot, which would have been the perfect spot to get into. But yeah, definitely missed out on this one. This one would have been a absolutely banger. I mean, just straight line drive up, right? No pullbacks whatsoever. So those are kind of what you want to see on breakouts, right? If you were in it, right? Just literally a line drive up, giving you no reason to ever sell throughout the entire day so far. So great move there. And you can see the reasoning, right? We had this tight wedge here, higher lows here, lower highs here, getting really compressed. And that was the breakout, right? So it started getting tighter and tighter and tighter, and then eventually it wants to break out, just like a lot of stocks want to do, right? When they get super tight like that, they just want to break out and start making new moves, right? So that's what we saw there on SoFi, and then obviously RKT, right? We've been in and out of this one a couple times over the last few weeks. Definitely got a little chopped up on the lower volume side here during that Christmas week, right? We had a nice breakout here, ends up selling off that next day, right? Not really selling off completely under the moving averages, right? So this is still constructive, still looked really good to the upside, just kind of just selling off that entire breakout here from Tuesday, right? Not a good look. Typically when you're in the options, you don't want to see a day like that, but ends up kind of pushing back up here, and then today was the big breakout, right? So it looks like a lot of stocks finally were trying to get some momentum and finally got some volume here to start the new year. So this was the big breakout on RKT as well. Looks really good. We've been talking about this one as well. And then RKLB, this one still looks good, right? This kind of looks similar to that RKT, right? It's kind of basically just retesting this 90 MA here, printing a inside day. It looks like it doesn't look like it's going to close anything other than an inside day. So this could look good for an entry either tomorrow, right, or potentially Wednesday. So we'll keep an eye on RKLB. And then besides the positions that we're in, right, obviously LUNR, I took a nice one on this on Friday for like 20%, right? Sold for break even, and re-enter this again going into the end of the day. I ended up swinging this. We did end up taking some profits here. You can see it did end up kind of moving up a little bit here to our first take profit point at 18.5. And now we're just back to, up only 1% today. So it's not really moving down. It's not moving up. There's no reason to sell. I have my stop losses at break even. So this is a risk-free trade, right? Not really the exact move that I wanted, right? This isn't a breakout trade that I'm usually taking. This is just kind of a continuation off the 90 MA on some big volume here. Just wanted to see continuation to eventually 19 and 20, right? So we'll stay in this trade unless it stops me out for break even, right? So this is a risk-free trade, and then we did enter PLTR here. Another one that's not really typically my style of trading. This is just something I'm taking for potentially 1 or 2 day continuation. And hopefully I really do want to just sell this tomorrow or Wednesday, right? I mean, this is just kind of an overreaction sell-off candle here on Friday, and we basically gapped up above this key level spot, right? This key level at 175 or 174, 175, right? 175 is this key level from, you know, back in September, right? We had a lot of support here, some resistance here, and it just looks like we're getting back above it, right? Trapping a lot of these late sellers here under 175. So I just wanted to take this for potentially just an extra, you know, 1 or 2 days to the upside, retesting these moving averages, and then I'll sell that, right? Nothing looking, you know, I'm not looking at, you know, a multi-week continuation to the upside yet, just because it's just still under the moving averages. So this isn't really a breakout trade that I'm taking. And there's a few other setups that were looking really nice. Affirm, right? We talked about this one a couple weeks ago, off that weekly breakout, right? If we look at the weekly, that's the monthly. Right, the weekly broke out a couple weeks ago. We had that low volume retest here on the weekly chart. So this is really bullish. And then today, huge breakout here. This would have been the entry down at that $73 level. If you wanted to take the retest and just kind of take the early entry on that, would have been down here. Obviously the breakout would have been around 76. So either way would have been a great trade. Didn't really even notice this until it already went up 8% today. So definitely missed out on that one. And then we talked about HUT a little bit. This was on my watch list as well, right? Breaking out over 52. Didn't really get that retest of 52 that I wanted, so would have been a tougher entry as well. Plus the options on this are not really that well. Reddit, I don't think this is completely, you know, it really isn't time to enter this on this breakout here yet, just because we are extended from the moving averages. But I think if we can start setting up above 240, that will look good for a later entry. A-Lab, we were watching, it's kind of just not a really good candle today, so probably would have stopped out on this if I took this on that 175 breakout. AVGO is kind of the only setup that I was watching to the downside going into today. Obviously I wasn't going to take anything to the downside just because the markets are moving higher. There's no reason to take, you know, something that's going against the market, but this sort of played out, right? I mean, right under 345, ends up ripping below that on the 15-minute. It came and retested it here. You could have taken it here, caught a nice little scalp here to, you know, 340, but other than that, we probably wouldn't have taken this unless the market was going down today. Another one I was watching, right, airlines, United Airlines, kind of just basically retesting this old key level, or it looks like all-time high, not really all-time high spot, but a big key level on this big base here around 110, right? We had a resistance here, some resistance here, and it just looked like it retested it, right? We broke out of that, came down, retested it, printing a nice little flag here, and it's breaking out here today. VSAT, not quite ready on the setup, but this will look good for, you know, in a couple days probably. Same thing on UMAC, not really quite ready. It's ready to break out, just not, you know, if you already missed this entry at 13.5, there's no reason to chase it here yet. Same thing here, right? This is already starting to break out. This will probably end up setting up soon. This one's kind of rejecting this trend line here. And then it looks like Lululemon does want to start breaking out here. This is the breakout spot. It looks like if you know, out of all the stocks right now, this probably is the nicest, the cleanest one to take right now, right? This is pretty close to this entry point here, so this would be a nice trade to take. But other than that, like that, there's not really much else. Besides any of that stuff. And then